The new interstate federal highway that led across the new bridge that spanned the Ohio River and actually provided it, since advertising is banned along federal highways, with its own broad grass-green reflecting sign, Grace and Favor half-mile, and exit ramp. No one, not even the most cynical of the bondsmen, knew how this had been finagled, though the speculation was that perhaps one of those $1,000-a-plate dinners had made it possible. Made it as accessible as any restaurant in Cincinnati. The bondsmen came in taxis, 5 or 6 to a cab, and rubbed their loud, heavily padded, sports-jacketed shoulders. They dressed in a sort of mid-50s style, like customers in delicatessens on Sunday mornings, with the furred shoulders of the club women and sober-suited buyers from the downtown stores. The London broil for $1.50 was a specialty. It was what they all ate, the distinction in their appetites, if not their characters, apparent only in the way they wanted it prepared and what they chose to gulp it down with. The Phoenician was not with them today, and since word of Erlinger's joke had already been leaked, some of the bondsmen were disappointed that he was not there to take their ragging. None made any comment, however. This was not their usual social gathering. It was a new departure, more or less a formal business meeting scheduled weeks ago. They had never had a business meeting and were a little uncertain how to begin. In the trade all their adult lives, these were men who had never tired of the infinite eccentricity that came their way, who by the simple process of constant witness had become expert raconteurs, sheer access to material democratizing any differences in imagination and delivery that might once have existed between them. They looked around the table at each other, their glance finally settling on Lester Adams, a tall, speckled, taciturn bondsman in his 70s. Adams had got into bail bonds in the 30s when his farm was taken from him by the banks. He had come to Cincinnati to look for work and found $100 in the street on his first day in the big city. He was on his way to the courthouse. His small village of Bend, Ohio, had no jail, though it had a JP who functioned also as a law enforcement officer and lost and found service, to return it, carrying it openly in his hand because he had never seen such traffic before, and was a little afraid he might be run over by a truck and the money found concealed on his person, and people would wonder what a simple, destitute farmer like himself was doing with $100 cash in his pockets. He was looking for the lost and found, which was, he reasoned, by analogy, in the immense courthouse. He waved the bill in front of him as he came down the corridors, snapping it like a flag of safe passage, the ostentation of the gesture only slightly less painful to him than his fear that people might think he came by it wrongfully, until he was stopped by a lawyer who was looking for a bondsman to put up $75 bail for his client. The lawyer, who had seen Adams waving his money, touched his sleeve to get his attention. "Bondsman," the lawyer said, and Adams, thinking the man had said "bensman," and that it was a question, immediately answered yes. The lawyer explained his client's circumstances, and Adams, who hadn't followed a word of what the man was saying, but who was chagrined not to have recognized a fellow townsman, thought, "In the big city, not a whole day and whole night, and so shook that I not only don't remember this feller though we come from the same village, but don't even recognize that he looks familiar to me," and nodded in agreement to everything the lawyer said, figuring out only as the lawyer went on, and it was too late, that it was his own pleasant nodding that had made it too late, that his old friend seemed to want to borrow $75 of the farmer's found $100 to help out a friend of his own.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.